everyone. My name is Danielle Perry, and I am the host of Breakthrough Conversations, and this is another word of encouragement video. And the title of today's video is God is so good. Yes, God is so good. I'm sure this is something that we say all the time, right? Sometimes we say it so much that I think it loses its true meaning. So this video is going to be released 2 weeks after it's recorded, but I actually taught a Bible study last night at my church titled God's Goodness is More Than We Think. So I remember it was a couple days ago that God said, in your next word of encouragement video, I want you to talk about my goodness. And I thought, okay. And then I developed the message for Bible study, and I said, oh my goodness, like the Holy Spirit had his way with how he helped me to develop that message. Because in the goodness of God, too often we think about, well, God, what can you do for me? You know, we think God is so good because he just blessed me with a house, or he just blessed me with a car, or he just blessed me with the person that I'm going to be with the rest of my life, or he blessed me with a child, and the list goes on. And yes, God does bless us because we know that the word says that if we're obedient, we'll eat the good of the land. So he absolutely blesses us. But when it comes to the goodness of God, we have to remember that God is also a holy God, he's a just God, and he's a righteous God. And those are only 3 elements of who he is. But with all that is encompassed in who God is, we think that goodness is only limited to him making us happy. When because he's holy, because he's just, because he's righteous, and because he's all knowing and all powerful and all sufficient and all these things, right? He's everywhere. That we tend to forget that sometimes the goodness of God means that he's going to do something that we don't always understand or agree with. An example, and for those of you who tuned into the Bible study, this is probably going to be a repeat to you, okay? Just be mindful of that. But an example of this is if he takes away a friend, someone that you thought that would be in your life for your entire life, but he allows a separation to take place because that person is no longer good for your life and where God is taking you, right? And that's a hard thing to grapple with. God, this is a person that I thought I would do life with for the rest of my life, but you caused a separation to happen, and I don't understand how that's a part of your goodness, God. So we have to know that a part of God's goodness is his all-knowingness, his infinite wisdom, his sovereignty. That's all encompassed in God being good. Sometimes he'll allow us not to get the job that we so wanted. He'll allow us not to get the dream home that we so wanted, that we can actually afford, but God allowed it to not take place. He gave it to someone else. Maybe you thought you were going to marry that person, and God said, no, that's actually not the person that I have for you. But God, what are you doing? Especially when I thought by now I would be married. I thought by now, for me, y'all, I would have children. So what is it about God's goodness that sometimes we have to wait? What is it about God's goodness that he has to strip things away from our lives, or even add things onto our lives that we don't always like or agree with? God, how is that a part of who you are as good? Well, again, in his infinite wisdom and his infinite knowledge, and him knowing every single thing about our lives, and him knowing every strand of hair that's on our head, he knows what's best for us. How many of us know that we've made some dumb decisions that did not include God in our past, and now we are reaping the consequences of that? Well, what if we included God on those decisions? And we probably didn't include God because we knew he was going to tell us to do some things that we didn't want to do, and we didn't understand that that was actually a part of his goodness for us. But now, y'all, we're reaping the consequences of those decisions. So I want us now to have a shift in focus when it comes to the goodness of God. It's not just about what he can do for me that's going to make me happy. The goodness of God is simply, God is good because he's God. God is good because he's my creator. God is good because he is my father. For those of you who didn't have a natural father for whatever reason, guess what? The Bible says that when mother and father forsake you, the Lord will take you up. Let God be your father. We have so many voids in our lives because of rejection, because of abandonment, because of hurt. But will we let God take the place of those voids? Will we let him fill those voids and show us his goodness, show us who he is? As you can see, I'm still fired up from the message that I taught last night, because it's still just ringing so true and so clear to me that God's goodness is just more about, as my pastor would say, being Santa Claus to us. We're constantly asking God about those things that we're waiting on. And if you listen to this podcast often, then you know that I talk a lot about being in expectation, and that God's going to bless our obedience, and that breakthrough is here, and God's going to manifest promises. And yes, he is. He's going to do all of that. But before he does it, we have to give him praise. We have to worship him. We have to thank him, and we have to do it perpetually. That means we do it all of the time. It doesn't matter if I haven't received yet what I desire. It doesn't matter if I don't like the situation or circumstance that I'm in right now. That does not dictate who God is. God's goodness is not predicated on my situation, on my circumstance. Y'all, again, if you follow this podcast, then you know that I recently lost some loved ones. You know that I had kind of been dealing with some things that I expected to happen, and they didn't, like I wanted them to, or they didn't happen at all, right? But God is still saying, will you still give me praise? Will you still lift your hands and tell me that I'm good? Will you still walk in obedience and expect more? Will you still wake up early and pray? Even though your heart is hurting from losing that loved one, even though your heart is hurting from that person and this situation that happened, and we have this thing going on in our city, and then we have this thing going on in Israel right now, will you still give me praise? Do you still know that I am a good God? So I want us to think about God being good in a different way now. I hope that this has been a blessing to you, and I want you to be sure to tune in for the next episode of Breakthrough Conversations, and this is within our marriage series once more, y'all, so I hope that you are ready to tune in. In the meantime, have a wonderful day and be blessed.